To begin, we would like to welcome Dr. Sargoun Issa. He is a member of the American Mesopotamian Organization. He is speaking from America and will be discussing the attack on Dawood, Jajo, and his injured friend Elis, Nasir. Dr. Sargoun, please tell us a little bit about yourself before we get started.
I would first like to thank the viewers and you for giving me the opportunity to speak on this show and explain our views and beliefs. My name is Dr. Sargoun Issa. I'm from Iran, and I moved to the United States in 2001. I'm an orthopedic surgeon and have spent the past 35 to 40 years of my life as an activist for Assyrian rights. In the first year I arrived in America, I became vice president of the Assyrian Aid Society here in Los Angeles. And in 2008, I became president of this chapter. Last year, ISIL attacked the Assyrian nation, forcing its people to flee their homeland in Nineveh Plains. Subsequently, I came to the conclusion that humanitarian aid alone will not suffice. I've had this thought for some time now, and this was the reason a few individuals and myself established the American Mesopotamian Organization, AMO, here in Los Angeles back in 2009. AMO is a political grassroots movement with one mission: to expose the corruption and oppression of the Kurdish regional government and Iraqi central government. But after June 10, 2014, we shifted our focus more toward protecting Assyrians and their rights. The Restore Nineveh project is a large initiative from AMO, which endorses this focus.
Dr.
Sargoun, the same day as the attack, you were in communication with Dawood. Could you please tell us how the attacks unfolded from the beginning?
As part of the Restore Nineveh project, the Khabour Protection Unit was established 3 months ago after the civil war broke out in Syria. The mission of the individuals who are part of this unit is to protect and defend families, friends, and villages. These volunteers work diligently to maintain the safety and security of the region with the collaboration of other protection forces. There are other Assyrian organizations that are coordinating together for the same mission. We are also in contact with Kurdish forces on the ground. In the region of Khabour, there are no governmental forces. They have all retreated to Syria. There was a lot of pressure coming from the leadership of Kurdish forces, which are called YPG. This weakened resources available to the Assyrian forces in order to have them become completely dependent on the Kurdish Authority. The YPG is now spending money to split the Assyrian forces in order to discourage them and eliminate all nationalism, which only serves the Kurdish agenda. After ISIL entered into Khabour, we started communicating with them and promised them our support and assistance through these difficult times. The night of the attack, both Martyr Dawood and Elis were at the Khabour Central Command Station. At approximately 11:30 p.m., they left the center to go home, while other soldiers stood guard. We know that they arrived home around 12 midnight, and this has been confirmed based on the calls exchanged between them and the guards. Any time between 12 and 1 a.m., members of the YPG came to the home of Elis. From the 5 members that arrived, 2 were local leaders of the YPG. One of them is named Sadir, and the other is Louion. Sadir and Louion have a long history of harassing and intimidating Khabour Protection Forces. The 2 men were directing the events that took place that night. The other 3 guards that entered went by the names of Kamal, Humzal, and Delvan. These, of course, are not their real names, but the locals are well aware of who these YPG members are. Except for Delvan, whose original identity is unknown, we do know that 2 of the 3 members are not from Syria, but from other regions.
ولينا ابن سوريا لينا ناشد أصلاية سوريا أن وارنا بيت إلياس بتيابنا.
When they arrived at Elias's house, they demanded to meet with both Elias and Dawood. They sat with them and were also offered tea and appetizers. After sitting for a bit, they asked both Elias and Dawood to accompany them to the central base of YPG for a big meeting. Elias and Dawood agreed, but told them that they needed to inform the leader of the Khabour Protection Forces to attend. The visitors immediately assured them that the leader of the Khabour Protection Forces was already present at the center. When they were seated in the vehicle, one of the YPG members informed them that they needed to be blindfolded because the central base was located in a secret location. As soon as they blindfolded them, the YPG members held a gun to their heads and handcuffed them both. They drove off the main road and stopped the vehicle. They then began severely beating them. Then they pointed the gun at Dawood and began shooting multiple rounds, killing him instantly. They proceeded to shoot Elias 4 times, one of the bullets penetrating his throat and 3 rounds entering his chest and abdomen. Elias became unconscious, but luckily, because it was dark, the YPG gunman assumed that he was also dead and then left the scene. Elias eventually awoke to find himself still handcuffed, but miraculously was able to free himself. He was able to crawl on his chest all the way back, almost 500 meters to the main road. A car passing by found Elias laying on the ground and subsequently took him for the hospital for treatment. The purpose behind this heinous attack is clear. By trying to remove these key Khabour leaders, YPG was hoping that the entire organization would collapse, making it impossible to reorganize with new leadership. From the first day that ISIL entered, the fighters of YPG intended to enter, loot, and steal from Assyrian villages. The only forces that resisted against the YPG were the Khabour Assyrian forces, and they always used non-violent means to prevent the looting of the villages. By eliminating the leaders, 35 of our villages within a 6 by 30 mile area would fall into the hands of YPG. From one side, our nation is being attacked by ISIL, but on the other side, we're being attacked by our neighbors and so-called allies, the Kurds. The attack by ISIL is not as painful compared to an attack by the Kurds. We know ISIL is our enemy. However, with the Kurds, our so-called friends and neighbors, for whom we've been fighting for and for whom we've been sacrificing our lives, at the end of the day, the Kurds have their own agenda, which is to erase Assyrian existence from the earth. We, as the American Mesopotamian Organization, want to send a message to the Kurdish parties who claim to be freedom fighters. You are only fighting for your own agenda, while at the same time killing your neighbors, the Assyrians. We reject your claim to be freedom fighters. In fact, you are nothing but terrorists, much more worse than ISIL itself. We will not be silent, and we will expose you to the rest of the world, since this is not the first time you have attacked our nation. You have done this to our nation multiple times, and we say, enough is enough. We will stand on our feet and resist. We as AMO are releasing a press report to the world, and we will inform the world that your forces, who claim to be fighting for human rights, are really a fascist and chauvinistic terrorist organization. It is true that the Kurdish people have been victimized in the past, but now that you have achieved some measure of power, you have become the oppressor. These things we have seen and are currently seeing within the Kurdish regional government and inside Syria itself. We will stand strong against this, and we will not be silent. We are also asking and waiting to hear a response from the Kurdish people. They must take the initiative to cleanse themselves from this oppressive leadership. When the Kurds were fighting for their freedom in Kobani against ISIL, the Assyrian nation around the world protested, saying, "Save Kobani." And today the fighters of Kobani are the ones that killed and terrorized members of our country. This is not acceptable. Unfortunately, the Kurdish leadership, whom we know very well and for whom we have no respect, have betrayed the Assyrian nation. To the Kurdish nation, I speak to you directly. We hope that the Kurdish people will rise up against these terrorists. The Kurds should stand up and protest against these horrible actions perpetrated by their leadership. In the press release, we withheld the names of two of the other killers. We are waiting for the YPG to take steps, or we will release the names. This is a worldwide press release. Although we realize that many people living in the Middle East are suffering, we have hope in humanity, and we hope that one day the world will awake in restoring peace and prosperity to this troubled region. Thank you.